Welcome to another episode of the podcast. Back here with Jake today. We've got 3 subjects to cover today that we thought like hot off the press that we should probably talk about. One is the new look 785 Huez. Been waiting for that. The other is that article from Bike Radar and the Thomas De Gendt crash with the hookless thing. I think we're going to touch on that. And the other, that really controversial news from GCN.
About the Elite Wheel sponsorship.
Yeah, never saw that come in.
No, I didn't either.
No. So I think we should start with the new look. That's literally just been announced. That's kind of our bag a little bit.
So it's the most exciting news on here, by far.
Yeah, potentially, because they've done something really cool. So we've known about this for a little while. We've got a test bike coming. Can't wait for that to come. Now, the 785 Huez is the bike that probably most people would probably want to ride. It competes with the Time Huez, the Giant TCR, the Trek Monda, doesn't it, and that sort of thing. And look, normally known for really fancy engineering.
Yeah, and high prices.
Yes, and this is incredibly sensible. I'm quite surprised how sensible it is. So a couple of little features is T47 bottom bracket, internal. Yay! Standard 27.2 seat post. Yes! Semi-integrated cables. So the cables work the same as my 765, which I think is nice because if you want to put it in a bike box, it's probably the most practical way of having internal cables.
If you want the fully integrated look with no cables showing, it's much easier than having a full integrated handlebar setup. So for getting cables out and stuff.
It looks pretty much integrated, but you have to look really carefully to see the cables. But if you want to take your stem off and just wrap them around, put them inside a bike box, take a holiday, so much easier. And I highlighted this, 2,400 quid.
Yeah, so this bike to me is in the kind of look lineup. It's in between what the 765 and 795 is, as suggested by the numbers and all that sort of stuff. But it's much, I would say it's more similar to a 765 than a Blade, as a consumer. If what you're looking at, it looks a lot closer to a 765 than it does to an all-out race bike.
But with the standard 73 geometry rather than the slacker and longer wheelbase of the 765. It's a very traditional road bike geometry.
It looks like the road bike, doesn't it?
Yeah. Whereas the Blade is obviously an aero racing thoroughbred. This looks like what a normal road bike should look like, and it's that traditional, triple triangle look. It looks really, really smart actually. My thing, they've dropped the RS moniker, which I think is going to be slightly controversial because the RS thing was I want the RS. But I think Look are trying to get rid of that throughout the range. They've put it on the Blade.
That's the top dog.
But I think the idea is they just want to go to Blade, Huez Optimum, and that's it, and keep it like that, which makes sense to me because it's still a high modulus frame. It just hasn't got the RS thing, which is going to confuse a few people potentially, but
it does simplify the lineup, doesn't it?
I like the fact there's only one bike. I do think all bike brands need to simplify their lineups a little bit.
Well, because if you look at, for example, a TCR or an Imonda or even Specialized in S-Work,
like 3 bikes.
It is. It's a lot more. It's a lot more convoluted as a buying option. You think, what really are the differences between these?
You got like S and SL and SLR.
They look the same from the outside, but they're all different on the inside in terms of weights and stiffness and layup and stuff like that. So I think as a consumer, it's probably quite nice. I mean, it makes sense for the manufacturer because they only then have one product to make. So they can either make more, or they can make it easier, or they can make it cheaper, so they can bring costs down, which I think we're definitely seeing with the looks at the moment.
And if you believe that guy from Silka, I can't remember his name now, he thinks that, the difference between an S-Works and a non-S-Works is basically the way it is. It came out the factory and the light ones go into the S-Works factory painting. I don't know how much truth is in that or not, I don't know. But I do like the fact that if you're going to make a bike, just make one bike in good volume that you can bring the price down. And I think that's what Look are doing here. And a £2,400 seems to me really competitive. I mean, you've done some...
I've done a little bit of scoping around the internet.
What do you find?
I love shopping and looking around and stuff like that. This is my bag, really. So we've had a look, and we think the direct competitors we've got down at the minute are the Giant TCR, Trek Monda, the Specialized Athos, and a Time Huez. So in terms of price, now the cheapest is the Look 785, £2,400.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then we've got the top spec Giant TCR, the race whatever, I can't remember the codes on it, but that's £2,900 for a frame set.
That's the one with the seat post that you have to cut.
Yeah. The completely integrated seat post. That comes in at £2,900, so about £500 more, but it is a little bit lighter, and it's a little bit more of a racy kind of bike compared to...
Yeah, that is a very stiff frame, actually. Haven't ridden one of these looks yet, so I don't know how stiff it's going to be yet. But
if it's going off their other two recent bikes, I'd say it's fairly
I'm pretty confident, but we'll find out soon.
Yeah, and then the interesting one, I think, is the Trek Emonda lineup. So they've got, it's kind of in between the SL and the SLR in terms of what it looks like for frame spec and weights and stuff like that. So the SL weighs, the Emonda SL weighs a whopping 1,629 grams, which is a lot. That's over 250 grams heavier.
You can get mountain bikes lighter.
Yes, yeah, you can. That's the 250 grams heavier than the Look.
Yes,
it's nearly £600 more expensive.
Wow.
And the SLR, which comes in at a pretty tidy 1,141 grams, according to the website, is £2,500 more expensive. It's over double the Look.
That's incredible.
And what we see from Trek in terms of it's quite a similar bag in terms of fully integrated cabling, T47 bottom bracket, stuff like that. But I mean, double the price. We have seen little finishing issues and stuff like that.
It's incredible. I don't really know how they've done it. I was not expecting the Look price to be like that. I really wasn't. I think they've stunned everybody, and maybe it is that thing of just trying to make one bike really well. And there's only 4 colours. They really haven't gone to town with all the stuff that's going to add cost and complexity to production. They've been quite intelligent there, I think, as well. So there's not lots of little frame bits either. I think it's actually a real thinking man's bike. Which leads me on, actually, when we do our demo, in fact, you guys can really put your input into here. So Look have got a whole bunch of fully built bikes that you can buy. You can imagine there's a mechanical 105, a Rival, I think, Di2 105, and then the top of the range, what they're going to do, they're going to stop at Ultegra Di2. It's like £6,500 or something like that.
And that's with Karima wheels.
That's with Karima wheels, and the rest of the range have got Look branded wheels, I think, which are okay. They use DT Swiss 350s, Sapin spokes, I believe. It's okay, but I don't really know what the rims are, etc. So, it's like a stock set of wheels, nothing particularly special about them. The prices are okay on those, but the challenge is, for my mind, is their cheapest build. So the 105 mechanical build that you can buy fully built, comes in white, is 3,690. So 3,690 quid gets you a 105 mechanical 12 speed with carbon wheels delivered.
That's a nice price.
Yeah. So the frame is 2,490. So we've got a £1,200 gap. Can we build a better bike for that 1,200 quid? So when our frame arrives, I think we should set ourselves a challenge. 1,200 quid, what can we do? I've got some ideas. I've been shopping around because I think group sets right now are so cheap. If you guys got ideas, what would you put on this build? What do you want us to see us build? Our test model of the 785 with? Put it down in the comments. We really want to know. And we'll see if we can put it in there and debate it when we build it. But I think we can build a better bike.
Would you like some Elite wheels on that? Segueing on to the next
segue. Okay, let's just do the GCN thing. So, if you didn't see, the GCN show, the behemoth that is the GCN establishment, have announced that they are now sponsored by a Chinese wheel brand. Now, I love the video they put out for this because there they were on a Pinarello Dogmas. Which are normally rocking
the most expensive bike you can possibly buy,
which are normally rocking like Zip wheels or Envy or Princeton's and everything else, and there they are on a set of Elites, and it was a fairly well made video. I guess it was they did well. I could see that there was a bit between baited to, but here's an interesting thing about Elite wheels. They reached out to us several times, actually. There's a guy called Patrick, I'm probably sure that's not his real name because is there in China, etc. But they reached out to us and said, would you review them? At the time, I was like, look, I'm going to give you a negative review, so there's no point me sending you wheels. And they said, why would you give us a negative review? And I'm like, we can't get spares. Like, your website hasn't got axles and pull kits and spacers, and you use pillar spokes, and we can't get pillar spokes here in the UK. So there we go. There's my review. Like, they're disposable wheels until we can get spares.
I mean, they do They look nice enough.
Yeah,
they look nice enough. I'm sure they're perfectly nice to ride. I mean, one of our mechanics downstairs, he's got a set of the rim brake wheels.
Oh, we've seen plenty of customers bring them into us.
He likes them. I'm sure they ride really nicely. But yeah, I did a bit of digging on the website after you kind of mentioned that. And in all fairness, they do have quite well documented spares for stuff like spokes and free hubs and things like that. So you can go in, you can find your wheel set, and it's a pretty extensive list of stuff. I mean, they do sell a lot as well. Yeah, they got a lot of big variations of wheels. They have, every wheel has front drive, non-drive, rear spokes that you can get for them, free hubs and stuff like that. Again, they don't have axles and things like that, which is a bit inconvenient if you break an axle, because that's something that's quite proprietary, because all these hubs are proprietary. They're not just a Bitex hub rebranded, they are proprietary. So the first thing I noticed on the website was that if you do want to buy a spare, it says that the spares are only compatible if you bought them directly from Elite or a verified dealer.
So if you bought them from AliExpress, because you can buy them at AliExpress as well, like God knows what free hub body it came with or anything like that. It's just, oh God. And that's where we stumble as a bike shop, which is why I wrote to Patrick. So I can't review these until you get a handle on this, because we have people come into us. I've had these wheels for a year. I think two things happens, right? And that is, you brought them and you're going to try and home mechanic it. And you're going to reach out to Elite and say, I brought a set of wheels from you, and the axle was worn down, the bearings collapsed, the axle's worn down, I need a new axle. They're going to ask you, what wheel set is it? When did you buy it? What model year? Because they change so regularly. Yeah. And then maybe they'll send you a spare, but then you got to wait for it to ship from China. Like it's not a convenient.
And I did check as well. If you want to buy a free hub, which is a price of $45, which is that's in the ballpark.
Yeah.
But if you buy it separately from anything else, so it comes a year later and you need a free hub, it's an additional $30 of shipping.
$30 of shipping for a free hub,
and it'll probably take. I would. This is obviously not a fact, but I would hazard a guess that it'll take 2 or 3 weeks to get to you. So it'll be a little while. And so if you knacker something a week before your holiday, or you've got a race and something breaks on your bike, you are pretty toast.
This is my thing with all Chinese built brands, and I have been likes them, and Pete Talk likes them, and there's nothing wrong with the wheels. They're perfectly good wheels. It's just that they're essentially disposable. I think this is the difference for me between a product and a brand. And it might have a fantastic product, but you haven't got a brand. You haven't got a brand until you have support, and you can go onto a website and you can see a part schematic. Oh, I need part number 1032. Ring up someone. I need this. No worries, it's in the post to you. Or you go to a bike shop and they say, "Yep, I can order one of those. It'll be here tomorrow."
Now, I have got a point to bring up on that to sort of kind of counter you. They are actually starting to bring out authorized Elite service centers, and they're actually listed on the website as got service centers that you can go to. And so I thought, maybe they're turning this around.
Oh God, I see where this is going.
And I clicked on it, and the closest one to us is about 560 kilometers away in Denmark.
That's closer than I thought.
Yeah. So
is Denmark really that close?
Yeah. I haven't rang them yet to see if we can get any spares, because I need to brush up on my Danish. But that's the closest place that you can officially get your Elite wheels serviced to England.
Amazing. I can't be asked with that shit. I'm sorry. It's just not. It's just, there's so much good. Not to say good. There's so much branded stuff that we can get spares for on sale right now at that price.
Yeah,
it doesn't. The
price of an Elite wheel is not so astronomically cheaper that it's just a no-brainer, is it?
No.
It's still in the ballpark of a set of zips on sale, or a set of fast forwards on sale.
Yeah, I mean, we deal a little bit with Karima, and Karima actually is okay. One, it's probably 2 or 3 days from France, or it's 1 day from Northern Ireland as a distributor in Northern Ireland. So, I mean, that's probably about as long as I'd want to make a lead time on a part. Nearly everything else, like Zip and
next day.
DT Swiss, is like next day if they've got it in stock, which most of the time they have now. The COVID thing seems to be ending, but pretty much it's like next day.
Yeah.
And for quite a lot of DT Swiss, we keep in stock. Like we have ratchets and pulls and everything else. So anyway, rant over. So tubeless. I'm going to pick this. I've picked this up because I saw the Bike Radar article on this. Actually, it was a really good article. Simon von Bromley wrote it, and it was probably one of the best articles I've seen on Bike Radar. It's really, really good journalism. And then I saw GC Performance, Grant from GC Performance, do a big clickbait thing.
Right.
And I was just like, calling for a universal ban on hookless. You saw the race live.
I did.
God.
I did watch. I watched Thomas De Gendt hit the floor at a high rate of knots whilst his front tyre blew off. I think what seemed to be the problem was actually, obviously, the tyre punctured, flatted, it came off the rim, but the thing that seemed to send him down was actually the insert coming out of the tyre and kind of wrapping in the wheel or in the fork. So I think that's what seemed to send him down, which is obviously not what you want.
Yeah. And so for me, when I first saw it, like, oh, they're running inserts, interesting. But you've got a good idea about why you think they're, because you run inserts, don't you, on your cross bike? It makes total sense.
Yeah. So the traditional use for inserts on a cross bike, mountain bike, gravel bike, whatever you want to call it, is to stop you from bottoming out and either damaging your rim or flattening your tyre. But in a road race, especially somewhere like UAE, where they're racing on highways most of the time with perfect road surface, I think the actual reason for the insert is, instead of stopping that from bottoming out or something like that, which probably is still a little part of it, is much more to do with being able to roll back to the car or to someone who has a spare set of wheels or a spare bike for you to swap onto, so that you don't have to stop and wait. Just, I need a wheel, side of the road.
It's sort of throwbacks to trying to replicate tubular, where if you'd got a puncture with a tubular, you could at least ride and keep some momentum going until you got the team car picked you up and you got going again. I can kind of see that. And I mean, the article is really well written. We don't know all the details, and Simon von Bromley picks up on that. He was running a 28mm tyre on a very wide 24mm, but it is on the approved list for zip, etc. We don't know what the tyre pressures were. It was a hot day. Maybe he hit a bump and exceeded the tyre pressures. He talks in the article about, in fact, the whole article read like the comment section on a couple of our more controversial videos, which is definitely worth watching. There's a controversial videos out there, and the comment section, you could learn so much about Hookless from those comments. It was insane. So was he running at 73 PSI, hit something, and it went over that safety margin, that safety factor? Were his rims out of spec? Seems hard to believe. Did he have too many wraps of tubeless tape? Who knows? You've got to have that 6mm sidewall, and one more wrap of that can throw it out. And we just don't know. No. And this is my thing with Hookless. Like, I don't hate the technology. I hate how badly it was communicated.
Yeah, and it does seem to be, because I've got a couple of sets of Hookless wheels. I've not had a single problem with them. I've never seen a customer come in here who's had a set of tyres blow off a set of Hookless wheels.
No.
But it does seem to be becoming much more prevalent in racing, people having tyres blowing off rims and causing crashes or incidents and things like that.
Yeah. I still think there's for years, decades, we've just been taking a tyre, a 19, a 23, a 25, putting in a tube in it and pumping it up to 100 PSI. Pump it up to 100 PSI. And when you buy a track pump, this is my thing. So you pump it up. When you get to about 100 PSI, it becomes quite hard to get it above 100. You've got to put effort in to get it to 110. So even though on the sidewall of the tyre, it might say max pressure 115, 120, by the time you get to 100, it's almost like, oh, that's quite a lot of pressure. And you touch it and it's like, ping, you almost got that kinetic feedback telling you that you're almost at your pressure. When it's only 73, most track pumps sail past 23 with ease. You're not even thinking, you just go and just going. You don't have that kinetic feedback. And then there's the whole 28s, etc. I think they should have communicated it was that Hookless technology is for 30mm tyres and above, unless you happen to weigh under 70 kilos, in which case you might get away with a 28.
But the thing is even if you run so for what I can see from the article and from what Lotto have been doing and all that sort of stuff, they have taken every precaution that you probably would take on a set of tubeless wheels to stop either getting punctures or being able to, if you do have a puncture, get back to the car.
Yep.
And so
then it still happens.
Even if you're running a 32 mil tyre, I don't particularly see what's stopping from, if you do get a puncture and you're still rolling along, stopping it from blowing off the rim. I think, obviously, I don't think I'd be surprised if that tyre was overinflated or anything like that. I'd be surprised if there was anything really wrong with it, because these guys are professionals. They know what they're doing. They're going to be running them at optimal tyre pressures, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, you'd hope so, yeah.
Yeah, I'd be really, really surprised if they'd done anything stupid. that cause that to go wrong.
How heavy do you think Thomas De Gendt is?
Oh, he will not weigh a lot at all. He's pretty short.
He might still be in the 60s even.
He'll be in 60 kilos.
Yes.
He'll weigh less than me.
So he won't be bouncing off the limits on a 70. He should be well within like 60 something PSI, if that, even run on the hard side.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't have been anywhere near it. So such an interesting one, isn't it? I think. And Dan Bigham on this article, he actually tweeted, didn't he? He said, history will not be kind to road hookless.
And I think it's very interesting because obviously Dan Bigham is a guy who's massively clued into his tech, a big aero guy. I presume, because he does a lot with Ineos on the performance side, I presume he's very much clued into how much this is going to be an advantage, disadvantage in the pure numbers side between hookless and hooked wheels, because those guys are looking for every advantage they can get. And so whether they've done additional testing to work out safety factors, stuff like that, I don't know. It's does he know more than we do, or is he just speculating the same as you would as a consumer, saying I'm seeing a lot of?
I think I think there's a bit of both on there. I'm pretty sure that Dan's experimented with the technology for sure, and obviously sees all the faff that's involved. And I think once you get the setup right, it's okay, but it's only okay. But it doesn't really offer you much more, does it?
At the same time, it's just there's not really any benefits to the consumer other than cheaper costs to my eye.
I mean, you don't even see the cheaper costs reflected in the price when you buy the wheels. You don't need the cheaper cost in terms of the manufacturing, really. I can't see a particular benefit, unless they're particularly downside either, apart from when you get into this situation. But, for when I've used them, I've used, 30, 32 millimeters on a 21 millimeter wide internal rim, and it's actually had absolutely no problems. It's just I haven't even thought about it being hookless. It's just been like a thing, and it's been fine, But I recognise when people have had issues, it's normally like, which tire and what that, and I didn't notice that was the tire pressures, and so I don't know where it's all going to end.
What is the conclusion to take from this? What this crash, this failure, the continued saga of hookless? What's your takeaway from this today?
I don't think hookless is going away. In the same way as that we banged on about disc brakes and aero extensions and levers turned in, and I don't think hookless is going away. I think it's here to stay. I think the whole industry needs to work out a whole bunch more. Like with the ETRTO got somewhere with it, and that just needs to filter through. It just needs to stop being behind closed doors. I think the ETRTO makes all those documents not behind really expensive documents. Get it out there, get the safety stuff out there. And if they can do that, then I think it will just be generally accepted as. And if you want to run a narrow tire or a high pressure, you don't buy a hookless rim.
Yeah.
If you're riding an endurance bike with 32 millimeter tires, then I don't know if it makes that much difference.
Bob's your uncle.
What's your conclusion?
I think you will always see failures, no matter what stuff you're running. You see old tubulars rolling off. You see, clinchers blowing up in the sun. I've seen that many a time. People pinging out to 115 psi, and it gets hot in the day, they blow up. So, and tubeless it'll deflate overnight, or if you hit a pothole, you might puncture. I think you'll always see failures regardless of the equipment. I think we'll wait and see, because there is quite a large proportion now of the professional peloton riding hookless wheels.
Yeah,
like Zip, Giant, all that sort of stuff. There's probably upwards of 30% on hookless wheels now, I would guess.
Yeah, Mr. Stat pulled out of fresh air, but I wouldn't disagree with it.
They're thinking of the proteins that run those. Probably 20 or 30% of guys.
Yeah, makes sense.
I think if we start to see more and more failures in professional racing, I think that's probably a sign to say they might need to do something about it. Whether it's a complete ban or not, I think that's probably, I don't know, we'll find out. But I think the technology will probably stick around.
Time will tell. There we go. Time to end, I think. Remember, put down in the comments what you want to see on this 785 build. Really looking forward to getting that together. I can't wait for it to arrive, actually. It's a bike that I'm sort of quite excited about. And right, we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.
Take it easy.